Hello and welcome to Back to the Future, the show we talk about movies past, present, and future. Today we're talking about the present and we're talking about Christopher Nolan's brand new film, Dunkirk.
There are 400,000 men on this beach.
Dunkirk is a historical war epic taking place on the beaches between France and Belgium while these English soldiers are being evacuated out, trapped on this beach, and it is a tense, harrowing story from World War II that I don't think a lot of people quite know or remember. John, so what were your thoughts coming into Dunkirk and hearing about this being the next Christopher Nolan project?
Well, obviously, big Christopher Nolan fan here. I think we both are. I think everyone watching this probably is. Hearing that he was going to do a war film really piqued my interest. Everyone was excited for this film. I was in such anticipation for it. Hans Zimmer coming back to do the musical score. And I didn't know anything really about Dunkirk. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing about the story. So, like, I was very interested in this film, and I was blown away by getting to see it in 70mm IMAX. It's an experience. And that's what Nolan does. That's what he delivers. Intense, riveting, very exciting movie.
Yeah, I think that, like, from hearing a lot of the early on stuff with this, and, Dunkirk was something that I was, like, mildly familiar with. I think the most I remember about it is, like, the tracking shot in Joe Wright's Atonement. That is Dunkirk, as well. And, and just the discussions and stuff like that, just a little bit about it. But I didn't know, like, tons of details about, like, what happened there or just kind of the whole logistics of it. It was really interesting. Like I said, it being kind of a story that isn't told nearly as much, it was really interesting to see that come into the big screen, just kind of a different little area of World War II that we don't talk about. A lot of the times, it's like, well, we have a World War II movie, it's when the Allies come in. Or, like, when America comes in and kick down the door and be America about it. But it was really interesting to see this kind of this hopelessness in that part of World War II where, the Allies were getting beaten back by the Germans all the way back to this beach. You know what I mean? Where it was looking very hopeless as far as stopping Germany from taking over the entire world. So I think that there's a really great sense of, like, the ticking clock, and I think that the score does that as well, but I think that there's something about the tone of the film and what the stakes are of the film that it feels urgent. There's an urgency, there's an importance to everything that is happening and everybody trying to get out of this situation, and I think what it means, I think just for, like, the hope of the war going forward. So I really felt like there was this cloud kind of over the movie in this really good way. Yeah. That really helped build the tension, really helped build the stakes throughout.
I mean, it's like the movie opens up with Fionn Whitehead's character, who's excellent in the film in a very subtle way. But I've never seen anything that he's in.
Yeah, a lot of these guys I don't recognize.
Like, Harry Styles is really good in this film, too, for the stuff that he... I mean, Who's he? Yeah. There's a scene with him that's really gripping. He's delivering some pretty intense acting in the scene, and it's really good. But, like, the movie opens up with, like, the Nazis pouring down, like, these maps and just, like, kind of mocking them and showing them that we got you surrounded, we're coming for you. And just from that moment on, the film does not let up. It just does not let up. And that's why the runtime is shorter. I know that was a big thing. The runtime, it's a Nolan film. It's not 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I would definitely say that the movie feels long enough. It feels long enough.
It's a perfect
I don't
length.
feel like it drags at all. I think that it's a very tight film in that way. And that actually was never an issue with me. I think that film's length... I think that it's like when you watch the movie, if a movie feels like it was too long or it's too short, but I think before you see a film, you should never judge, it's got this runtime. I know a lot of people are going on about The Dark Tower. I'm like, I'm going to wait till I see it. If I watch the movie, I feel like it's too short, then I'll make that comment.
Yeah.
If I go and see it and I feel like, hey, I know exactly why they did that, then that's fine. I think that with Dunkirk, its runtime is just about perfect. I really don't know what else you would have put into this film. It's a very tight event film, so I really don't see where you could be adding bunches of extra, especially for, I think, the vision that Christopher Nolan had. I think that's important here is vision, because this movie is a very singular vision.
It's a very singular vision. It's very experimental. And, I mean, that's what Nolan does. He's an auteur. He's going to do something new. He's going to do something different. And he's going to make something that just kind of blows people's minds in 70mm IMAX. Every time he puts a film out there.
We actually are sponsored by IMAX. Just kidding. It'd be great if it could be, though. That'd be awesome.
But like his direction style, which you've been seeing in all these years, with Memento and with, even with The Prestige and the Dark Knight movies, how the plot just kind of goes all over the place. The way he kind of makes these different timelines fit. Interstellar is similar. You got these different things going on. Dunkirk takes the entire scenario and just kind of like you see the land, you see the sea, you see the air, and they're all in different time frames, and just how it's all edited, how it's directed, it's just superb.
I think what he does in such a really great way is that, like, even though these things are happening, it's basically you have these three separate things that are happening over different spans of time. You have one thing that's happening about over the span of a week, one thing that's happening over the span of the day, one thing that's happening in the span over an hour, and they all are interconnected. They all kind of coincide with this one, like, really large inciting event that really is the climax of our movie. And I think Nolan does this great job of knowing what to show us, when to show it to us, and why these things are important without having to even say or do too much. I felt like, a director like him, it's like what he is so great at is being able to take multiple things that are going on. Like, I think Christopher Nolan would make a fucking amazing Star Wars film because of this, where you could have these multiple things going on at once. He knows exactly how to show it to you. He knows how to use the different events and the different things to build tension with the audience. That, like, even though these things aren't happening exactly at the same time, the tension is still ramping up. He knows exactly when things need to fit and when things need to happen in the film so that you can get there to the end of the film and understand everything.
Yeah, I think, watching it too, like playing off like all these different things, we've seen lots of directors and lots of different movies do all these different things, but what makes this movie so different is that Hans Zimmer's score stays very singular through it. So like these moments of shifting, the score just keeps pounding. It's just like these are at different times and different time frames, different whatever, but the music is still, it doesn't switch up.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
think
not like
you're
the
really
music
right
the music
in that
doesn't
way.
change to like to contrast the sea or like this and that. It's all just this is
It
a moment
sews
and
it
this is a
together
moment in
nicely.
history and this was intense and it just keeps going and going and going. The clock tick tick, 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 like the whole time.
It's definitely the thread that holds them all together,
Yeah.
and that's very right. That it's the thing that kind of just sews them all together in this really nice way and makes them feel cohesive.
I've never seen a movie like this. I've never seen a
No.
movie like Dunkirk. It's very singular. I've never seen a movie like Dunkirk.
I think a lot of things that some people were very concerned about was the fact that it had a PG-13 rating. And that was very different, too, from a war film to have one that was, okay, this is a PG-13 rating. What did you think about that as far as watching this film? Say, comparing it to something like Hacksaw Ridge, which got a lot of detractors because of its use of showing a lot of this violence.
I liked Hacksaw Ridge's violence. I thought it was a great juxtaposition. Dunkirk works, PG-13. Christopher, because the movie's about the tension, and it's about like what the characters are feeling in the moments, and Nolan uses a lot of close-ups, a lot of shots, and like they're really like haunting shots. Like I don't know. It's just it's brilliant filmmaking. It's brilliant filmmaking. If you got a good filmmaker, it doesn't really matter what this movie could have been PG, and it would still be good. Like it could still be a good movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't think that a higher rating gives it more stakes, more violence, more gore, does not necessarily give something more stakes. I think that just the sanctity of human life in this movie should be enough. The fact that these are just young men and soldiers trying to survive, that should be enough.
Yeah.
If you can't connect with that, you're too cynical. It's definitely something that... like I said, you're kind of a passive observer of an event in this, and you're not getting these deep dives with these characters. But I definitely have to say that these actors really, especially Kenneth Branagh and Tom Hardy, I think in this movie,
Kenneth Branagh's
really push it to this. I mean, there's a shot from Kenneth Branagh in this that I can't forget it.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of how much emotion is wordlessly wrapped up in it, and there's very few actors who could do that.
Yeah, there's a couple actually, and Mark Rylance I thought was fantastic in this movie
Yeah.
too. He's such an interesting character. Like he was just every time it cut back to Mark Rylance and his boat going to Dunkirk, and then like him meeting up with Cillian Murphy too, who's his character. I didn't expect that. It was really well done. And a lot of people say there's no character development, but there is character development. There is these character beats going on within these characters, but like the event is what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not about the characters, it's about the event. And Nolan knew that going in. We see Nolan do characters. He chose not to in this movie, basically. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, I think that in a way that, maybe I'll get derided for saying this, but I don't think that that's actually Nolan's strongest calling card As far as like as a director, I find that themes and characters are usually a little bit where he struggles. Some characters are better than others, and I think that a lot of the times it's the actors getting the freedom, like with Heath Ledger Joker. Like that, a lot of that is Heath bringing this to Christopher Nolan, where you look at like the Batman character, I didn't quite feel like as connected to, and there's some other characters too. I think Interstellar is a big example for him, where this really just focuses on that event. I think in that way it really tightens up what Christopher Nolan is so great at. I think that one of the things that sticks out so much, especially I think that is very singular to Nolan, is these airplane sequences are so well done. The way that they just put us in the cockpit of these planes, seeing this viewpoint that we've never seen this before.
No, we've never seen it before. Some of the best aerial shots, the best, I will just say, the best aerial like shots in any movie ever, probably.
Tom Hardy's the greatest fighter pilot in cinema, I think, after this movie.
Yeah,
like his
and
character,
there's a couple shots with him too that it's very like I'll never forget the imagery around him either. And a lot of that is the movie has a lot of imagery, and it's a lot of that's what it is. It's pretty much a lot of it is silent. There's a lot of there's very little dialogue. We've heard Nolan come out and talk about it too. You know, it's the shortest screenplay he's ever written. So man, it blew me away. It's a good movie.
Yeah. I definitely think that it's an event film for anyone to go out and see, and like we've been saying a few times, we went and saw a 7mm IMAX, and it was amazing to see it that way. So if you guys get a chance, you can go to the IMAX theater or something like that, go and see this in it, because it is a perfect film for it. It's so visually stunning, and it's a movie that you kind of, I think, want that sort of immersion in. So we've definitely kind of given our overall thoughts here of Dunkirk. John, what is your summary and grade for Dunkirk?
Dunkirk is an exhilarating movie-going experience. This is what cinema exists for. Christopher Nolan is one of the greatest directors of our generation, and he puts out a World War II epic. And this movie is epic. It's phenomenal, and it's something different, something I've never seen before, and it's an experience. This movie is an experience film. Now, I feel like coming out of the movie, there is a little something lacking from the characters. I know that's been a very common critique from the film, but I'm gonna give grace in that, in that sense, because Christopher Nolan's, that wasn't his intention. His intention was not to do that. I think the film could have benefited from a little bit more to make it like maybe the greatest war movie ever made, but he left it out, and I feel like there could have been just a little bit more, but I'm going to give that grace, and I'm going to give Dunkirk an A+.
Yeah, Dunkirk, I think, is an excellent war film and a very different film. I think that a lot of people who are expecting maybe something that's a little bit deeper and the characters are going to be disappointed. This is an event film, and we are passive observers of the event. We don't really talk about things or see things that happen before or after. We are just in this singular shot in time, and we only have this much time with the characters. I definitely see it as being a criticism. I definitely see that as being something that other people may not be nearly as into, but if you know that that is what the director's intent is with this film, and if you're on board for that, this is one of the greatest war films I've ever seen. I think that its aerial battles are some of the best ever put to film. I can't even think of anything close. Like, I can't. I have been racking my brain thinking of things. Can't think of a film that has shown aerial combat from that era in that way anywhere close. There's perfect, amazing, understated performances by actors who are so great, who can wordlessly act, like Tom Hardy, who's the master of that. He's the most expressive eyes in Hollywood. And then you also have Kenneth Branagh delivering some great, iconic, classic performance of his career. I think that this is a wonderful film, and if you've never heard the story of Dunkirk or are not really familiar with World War II, this is definitely one that's going to be a nice little change of pace for you. I really like this film a lot. I'm not going to quite give it a perfect grading of an A+. I think I need to watch it maybe another time or two. I definitely felt there was just a little something more I wouldn't have minded having there. I'm going to give Dunkirk an A. That's been our spoiler-free review today of Dunkirk. I hope you guys really go out and check this movie out. Tell us in the comments what you think of Dunkirk, and where does it rank among your favorite Nolan films of all time. You can find Back to the Feature on Twitter at Back2Feature and on Facebook at /Back2Feature. I've been Giovanni Carlo.
And I'm John Vandeloo.
And we hope to see you guys next time.
You can practically see it from here.
What?
home